Hi, this is Dana. Welcome to my live stream for Tuesday. I have several things to talk about, but I just want to invite everybody in, and you can respond in kind as you see fit, or if you just want to sit and listen, that's okay too. Today, my topic for discussion is going to be South Korea, and specifically, hey Mary, welcome to the live stream.
It actually come up for me too. I didn't get a notification,
Specifically, what happened while I was there. And I want to give you a little bit of background information. Probably everybody has heard of South Korea, even those of you that are much younger. But from where we live, South Korea is a 16-hour and 45-minute flight, and that's to Seoul, South Korea. South Korea is a green, hilly country with lots of cherry trees and century-old Buddhist temples. Where I was at was a place called Dongducheon, and that is north of Seoul, South Korea, which is the capital. But Korea has winters which are long and cold, and I did not know because I wasn't given any kind of in-country briefing before I went or when I got there. So a lot of the climate stuff was a real surprise to me. As a matter of fact, I went to the replacement battalion in a place called Yongsan, which is in Seoul, Korea, the capital. And they told me to go draw cold weather gear, and I said, well, I won't be needing that. It's not cold where I'm going. I'm going to Daegu, which is the beach area of South Korea. Well, that isn't where I ended up going. And yes, I did need the cold weather gear. And maybe next week I'll talk about Jeju Island, South Korea, and what I did there, and how cold it was there when I went. Most of the summer in Korea is very short, hot, and humid. There are a lot of rice paddies, especially in the village of Dongducheon, which is mainly not an urban area, but like the countryside. It's not as developed as Uijeonbu and Seoul and Daegu and Busan and other places like that in Korea. One of the poorest countries in the world is North Korea, which is not a part of South Korea, but does border it. And North Korea is also listed as the second country in the world to not go to as a tourist under any circumstances. The first is Syria. The second is North Korea. And in South Korea, the currency is called won, W-O-N, and it's a paper and coin type currency. Although when I was there, they were under martial law and ration control, which was supposed to prevent things from going to the black market, and it did nothing but just make the prices on the black market higher. Anyway, Dongducheon is where I was sent to, and that's north of the capital of Seoul, Korea, and north of Uijeonbu. It's about a 2-hour, if I remember, bus ride to Uijeonbu from Dongducheon. And then about another hour and 15 minutes from Uijeonbu to Seoul. And the way that I got around most of the time was by taxi. The division headquarters of the 2nd Infantry Division is now in Wijambu, which is a town that they talk about in the series MASH. And they talk about 2nd Med, which there is a 2nd Med hospital to this day. It's the big general hospital for all of the military in South Korea. Below Seoul is considered an accompanied tour area. Hi, Aaron. And above it is non-accompanied, which means you're only supposed to be deployed there for 12 months. In my case, I was there almost 15 months, but that's another story in and of itself. While I was there, I went there in the last of February in 1976. And I had came from Indianapolis, Indiana. I had been at a school at Fort Ben Harrison and flew from there all the way to South Korea with a stopover in Tokyo, Japan. And while I was there was an incident on the DMC on August 18th, 1976. 2 of our American commissioned officers in the United States Army were murdered with axes by North Korean soldiers in the joint security area. They were sent there to trim back a tree, and this detail of North Koreans attacked them and killed them. And it was very scary. As a matter of fact, the division I was in is, no, I don't. The division I was in was on DEFCON 3, which is to prepare for war. And they had a joint military exercise in response to the killing of our officers on the DMC called Operation Paul Bunyan. And it was a group of Marines, Air Force, also nuclear airplanes circling when they went up there to finish cutting down the tree, which is the detail that the 2 commissioned officers of the United States was killed because of. And for the Operation Paul Bunyan didn't occur until 72 hours later, and the whole time we slept on loaded duffel bags with live ammunition for our M16, which we did not routinely carry. But I worked in the post office, and when I was assigned to what they call mail guard duty, which was going to Osan Air Base and picking up the mail, we carried a sidearm 45 locked and loaded. But otherwise, we did not have live ammunition until this crisis on the DMC happened. And it was pretty awful, because when they brought the soldiers into 2nd Med there at Camp Casey in Dondujan, I was there. And so it wasn't a pretty thing. It's not good memories. Gerald Ford was president at the time, and he told General Stilwell to organize this response to the North Koreans killing our officers in the joint security area, and they did. And Mary says she thinks your dad was maybe deployed at some point in Korea. And I might be interested in talking to him if he wants to talk about it. A lot of people don't, because it's a backwards type country. Even though it was 1976, the end of February when I stepped off the plane, it was like I had stepped back into the 1950s.
I don't think he talks about it very often.
And
Yeah.
oh, okay. All right.
What year were you there?
I was there from 1976 to 1977, the end of April of 1977. And I worked in the post office at 2nd Infantry Division.
Is that because you were a woman that you had to work in the post office?
No, that was just my job. As a matter of fact,
differently because you were female?
I was definitely treated differently. And the reason why was because I was one of the first 50 women that was assigned to an infantry division there in South Korea. So I definitely was treated differently. I was quite unique in that the soldiers assigned to the 2nd Infantry Division, when we would be in restaurants and bars, they would call us round eyes. And
Her dad was the last person drafted from her county.
Oh my goodness, okay.
And I think you guys are in the same place, but don't say the exact location. I
Right,
guess it don't matter. It'd be up to Aaron.
right, that's his
Kentucky.
story to tell. That's his story.
Well, I mean, like, I think when y'all were in the same place in Kentucky, like the same.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Which I guess isn't a secret.
no. My last duty station was USAMAC, Headquarters Company USAMAC in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I got out on a medical discharge because I was expecting my daughter, Mary. Yay! Anyway,
Her dad went to Vietnam as well.
it was quite some adventure because the ration control was like a little credit card type thing you had to carry when you bought sugar, coffee, alcohol, appliances.
Kind of like jail.
Yeah, kind of like jail. And like I said, under martial law, which meant during the weekdays from midnight till 6 a.m., you were not allowed to be out in a non-military area. In other words, you were supposed to be on base. I did live for a while, several months in the village of Dandashan, and I did not have what they called a 24-hour pass, and I would just tell the guards on the gate, who happened to be South Korean soldiers assigned to our division, that I'd been to the airfield, which was across the street, and they would say, yeah, go ahead in. But,
Wonder if her dad will eat kimchi.
yeah, I ate a lot of kimchi while I was there, and that was one of the desirable things that I will eat now. I don't know, Aaron, you can probably ask your dad if he'll eat kimchi now. It's probably not a favorite. My neighbor
Fabio has it in his restaurant in Bolivia now.
When I lived in the village of Tandajan, my neighbor, it was like a 3 or 4 unit apartment complex, all one level. And your bathroom was a hole in the floor and a cold shower. And their sanitary conditions there are not good. The one thing I noticed when I got off the plane in February was that the place stunk. and it did. It smelled like dookie. And there was a reason why, because they don't have a sewage processing system. They just route it out to the rice paddies and use it to fertilize the rice paddies. Oh, gross. For over a year, I would not eat no rice. Another thing that they would do is they had a mess hall, or a dining hall as they called it, and at least 3 times a week they'd serve red beans and rice. And I would go in there and I'd ask one of the cooks, what's on tonight? If they say red beans and rice, I would go to the country club and get a dinner that I ordered. Of course, I had to pay for it, and what I got from the dining hall was free, but I just wasn't into the red beans and rice. Although the South Korean soldiers assigned to us did eat with us, and they would get to shoving and pushing in line when they found out it was going to be red beans and rice, because they liked it that much.
It tastes horrible.
Kimchi
Sounds horrible.
is fermented cabbage, not rotten cabbage. It's fermented, Mary.
Put it in the ground.
They do put it in clay jars and put it in the ground during the winter, and that winter kimchi is very strong. Spring and summer kimchi is not so strong. It is good for you. It has probiotics like yogurt, and like I said, when I can, I will eat it now. Although I found what you can get from Kroger's isn't quite as yummy.
Same difference, she said.
Yeah. Mary says she likes it, but she can't eat her food as spicy as I can. I'm not too sure about that, but okay, Miss Mary.
I've never been able to eat a spicy food like that.
I remember talking about food when we was on our big cruise from Barcelona back to the United States. One of the last nights that was a formal dinner, they had a dessert you could choose from, and it said mushroom, ragout maybe. Anyway, what it was meringue over ice cream. And Mary said, I don't want any mushrooms on my ice cream or something like that. It was
I've
just...
had to really, I mean, like that. I've had weird stuff. I mean, like, I've been on dates to that place on Grandin where they've had beet ice cream.
Yeah. We have a restaurant in town, only one that I know of right now, that uses local foods. And Mary was mentioning she had something called beet ice cream. And I can't say that I've ever had that. Was it sweet?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, Mary said it was pretty good.
But
So.
I'm used to eating different food. Like, I don't enjoy Southern food.
Yeah, Mary eats different foods. She doesn't enjoy a lot of the Southern foods. And certainly the diet that we're getting ready to kind of roll into our daily eating plan, the macrobiotic, is a Japanese style eating. And like I said, you cook fresh foods. I got my rice pressure cooker today, so I'm really excited about that. And I also got the book that Newly had talked about on her live stream about finding edible plants, and I'm excited about looking over that tonight. Tomorrow I'll do an uploaded video, and it's going to be Wisdom for Wednesday. You asked your dad about that stuff? Yeah.
Does he like it? Ask him.
Did he like it, Aaron? because I know they had. He said you couldn't brush it. No, you can't. It stays on your breath.
It's very strong smell.
It's very strong. I know. When I lived on base at Don Dujan, my houseboy would come in to get my boots and my laundry in the morning, and they'd bend over by my bed to get my boots, and oh, just the smell. You know, they'd already ate their breakfast before they came in to start work for the day, and it was strong. He said, no, it tastes like shit, and he said it was rotten cabbages. Well, that's what my husband says it is too. I don't.
We have a sister city here that's in Korea, but I can't remember the city. But
Wonju.
right, they're sister cities. And
Yeah.
we had that, and you took me to a buffet that was at Roanoke College, and I loved it, but it was some really strange looking food.
And it definitely is some strange looking food. Like when they would fix ramen noodles in restaurants, they would cook the noodles and bring them to you, and they would take and break an egg into it. And
I've seen
all the cooking it got was when it was dumped into the hot noodle broth.
Benji from The Life of Judy or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
He takes and puts an egg into his ramen like that.
Yeah, Mary's saying a YouTuber that we watch called It's Judy's Life. Her husband Benji takes and puts a raw egg into his ramen noodles. We eat a lot of ramen here just because it's relatively cheap. Although I do buy the fried kimchi noodles, and they're $2.29 a bowl.
And I steal the sauce out of it and just leave the
Yeah, Mary steals the sauce out of it and just leaves me the noodles.
For a while, I'll let y'all believe that's the way it was being packaged.
Yeah, for a while we thought maybe they were making a mistake, but I guess so not.
But it doesn't taste like kimchi. It says that it's kimchi, but it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like kimchi. It's just got a red peppery, garlicky type of
Ginger,
taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, ginger type of
Like
taste.
red pepper, like chili pepper, ginger, I would say.
Yeah. Mary's describing it as a chili pepper type ginger type of taste.
I just want to add, because I know Erin not got to see it or not, but Makeup Geek made a video, and she's bringing up some new information about James Charles. So I think the James Charles situation is getting ready to warm up, just so you know. Like, Marlene is showing some messages between the two of them, and she said she's still angry with him, and
Alright, Marlene Makeup Geek uploaded a video today to YouTube, and in it she said some things that are kind of disturbing about James Charles, so that situation may be getting ready to bust wide open again. Also, today we found out that a founding YouTuber had taken his life, and what was...
yeah, Erin's really sad about it too. His name is Etiquette, like,
His name was what?
on YouTube, I'm gonna make sure I spell it correctly for you, so hold on, but
Alright,
I'm gonna make
I will say, while Mary's looking up how he spelled his name, that he was suffering from a mental disease disorder, and he did everything to...
his YouTube name was ETIKA Etiquette, I think is how you say it, like,
His YouTube name was ETIKA.
but YouTube deleted his channel.
YouTube deleted his channel because as he was going to...
His suicide note is on there.
he left a suicide note, and so YouTube chose to take it down. But I think that's an indictment to our mental health lack thereof.
Absolutely. He didn't have to die.
He didn't have to die, because what makes me feel sad inside about his passing was I laughed about a video where he was really asking for help, and the police had to bust his door in to get him to go to the mental health facility and be evaluated. But a few hours later, they let him go. And he did everything.
He said he was trolling. He said some of that stuff.
He said he was trolling, but obviously he wasn't. He took his own life.
Well, he said after he did it, he took it too far, and then no one would have anything to do with him, and like, it ended up turning into a mental issue. He says, so it's not so incredibly sad. I think we should have a moment of silence for him.
Mary wants to have a moment of silence for him, and I think we should. And we should ask our higher power, whatever that may be, to help this mental health crisis we have here in our country. So we'll have a moment of silence starting now. Amen.
Yeah, he was. You're asking people if they want to. He was a gamer. Like he reviewed video games. That's sort of how he started out on YouTube. And so he has sort of his own logo. It's just this kind of like a E, but they're asking people to use that as their profile picture as a way of honoring him. He did mention Keemstar, who had interviewed him a month ago, and he mentioned him in the video, and I think Keemstar is having a really difficult time as well.
Keemstar was acquainted with this YouTuber, and it would seem he's having a difficult time processing this right now. So if you could remember Keemstar, that would be much appreciated. I'm sure. Just a very sad situation, because when someone acts out like he did, that is a scream for help. Even
like
if
Aaron
it's
said, if someone asked for help, you need to help them. But unfortunately, it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, that's
One
true.
Of, Tana Mongeau's ex-boyfriend, his name's Hunter Montero or something like that. I know he's friends with Scott Disick. And like he's a videographer, but anyway, he just recently launched a podcast and a shirt that's in Urban Outfitters, and it says check on your friends to make sure they're okay. And like literally that's just what it says, and we do need to check on each other and make sure we're okay. Like, I was really depressed today, and Erin could tell, and she immediately got on the phone and talked to me, and I didn't have to say I was depressed, she just knew. And that's how we should treat everybody.
We should treat everybody like that. If you haven't heard from a friend in a while, you need to check on them.
If you know they're going through something difficult.
And if you know they're going through something difficult, be even quicker to check on them than you normally would.
Do you maybe want to give an update on my doctor's appointment today?
Alright, I'm going to give an update on Mary's doctor's appointment today. She went and saw the plastic surgeon who's going to do the reconstructive surgery on her. And he will be in the operating room while they are doing the mastectomy. And he is going to put expanders in. And once a week she'll have to go to the office and have fluid put in it to expand it. And she'll do that for 6 weeks. And after 3 months, she'll have reconstructive surgery to implant uh, breast material back into her breast where
They're
they
going to remove all the breast tissue because there's so many ulcers. They're not going to be able to leave any of them.
right. So if you could please remember Mary and us, because it's something difficult that we're all faced with, especially her. And I hope you'll tune in on Thursday when I go live again at 9:30 Pacific Standard. Not Pacific. I do that every time. Eastern Standard Time. 9:30 Eastern Standard
You
Time.
have to answer one question.
Yes.
If you're going to be on YouTube, you have to keep up with the YouTube stuff that's went mainstream. Is Jake Paul and Tana Mongeau's proposal real?
Mary wants me to present a question, and I'm going to sign off after I leave this question,
And who cares?
and we'll talk about it on Thursday if the chat wants to.
It'll move on by then.
Is Jake Paul and Tana Mongeau's engagement real? Yes or no?
No. Say your opinion, because it'll be moved on by
Mary and I state our opinions, and that's no, it isn't real. Anyway, Aaron says no, it's not real either. Anyway, thank you for coming to the live stream. Be sure and watch the channel for a video tomorrow, and come back here on Thursday for another live stream. Bye.